The night sky is one of the most consistent companions humanity has ever had. Since the dawn of time, we've looked up at the moon, stars, and planets with awe, curiosity, and a sense of wonder. The moon, in particular, holds a special place in human history. Its phases guided the tides, shaped ancient calendars, and inspired countless myths. But what happens when the familiar face of the moon changes, when it takes on a shadowy form? On the night of September 18, 2024, we'll witness a fascinating spectacle, a partial lunar eclipse. A lunar eclipse occurs when the Earth moves between the Sun and the Moon, casting a shadow on the Moon's surface. This type of eclipse only happens during a full moon, when the three celestial bodies align perfectly. There are three main types of lunar eclipses: total, partial, and penumbral. A total lunar eclipse is when the Earth's shadow completely covers the Moon, turning it a deep, eerie red. A penumbral lunar eclipse is the most subtle, where the Moon passes through Earth's outer shadow, and the shadowing effect is faint. However, a partial lunar eclipse falls somewhere between these two extremes and provides an exciting opportunity to watch as part of the Moon darkens while the rest stays illuminated. What to expect from the partial lunar eclipse on September 18, 2024. So, what makes the upcoming partial lunar eclipse on September 18, 2024, worth marking on your calendar? First, let's talk about what exactly you'll see. During this eclipse, only a portion of the Moon will pass through the Earth's umbra, the darkest part of its shadow. It's not as dramatic as a total lunar eclipse, but it's still a sight to behold. Imagine looking up at the Moon and noticing that a bite has been taken out of it. As the Earth's shadow slowly creeps across the lunar surface, you'll see the Moon change in brightness and appearance, giving it an otherworldly look. The eclipse will begin at 8:41 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September 17, 2024. This is when the Earth's shadow will first start touching the Moon's edge. The peak of the eclipse, when the Earth's shadow will cover the largest part of the Moon, will occur at 10:44 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The entire process will take about 4 hours and 6 minutes, with the eclipse ending at 12:47 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on September 18th. For those in regions like Europe, much of Asia, Africa, North America, South America, the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian Ocean, and even Antarctica, the eclipse will be visible in some capacity. This eclipse presents an excellent opportunity for sky watchers to step outside and witness a natural phenomenon that requires no fancy equipment or specialized knowledge. All you need is clear skies and a bit of patience. But before we dive into how to watch the eclipse, let's talk about the science behind it. After all, understanding the mechanics of a lunar eclipse can make the experience even more rewarding. The science behind a partial lunar eclipse. The shadow the Earth casts has two parts, the umbra and the penumbra. The umbra is the darker, central part of the shadow, and the penumbra is the lighter, outer region. In a partial lunar eclipse, only part of the Moon enters the umbra, which is why only a section of the Moon will appear darkened. As the Moon moves through Earth's shadow, different phases of the eclipse occur. You'll first notice a slight darkening as the Moon passes through the penumbra. This part of the eclipse can be easy to miss if you're not paying close attention because the penumbral shadow is faint. But as the Moon begins to move into the umbra, the partial eclipse begins. That's when you'll see the most noticeable effect. A portion of the Moon will darken significantly, almost as if someone is slowly dimming a spotlight. Why does this happen? It's all about geometry. The Earth, Moon, and Sun are in constant motion, but during a lunar eclipse, they align just right, creating the perfect conditions for the Earth to block sunlight from reaching the Moon. It's fascinating to think that we can witness this cosmic event with our own eyes. We live on a planet that orbits a star, with a natural satellite, the Moon, that reflects light from that star back to us. And sometimes, everything lines up perfectly for an eclipse. Isn't that amazing? Where and how to watch the eclipse. Now, let's talk about the logistics of watching the partial lunar eclipse on September 18, 2024. As I mentioned earlier, the eclipse will be visible from several continents. The best part about lunar eclipses is that they are safe to watch with the naked eye. Unlike solar eclipses, where you need special glasses to protect your vision, lunar eclipses don't pose any risk to your eyes. You can simply step outside, look up, and enjoy the view. However, if you want to enhance your viewing experience, consider bringing along a pair of binoculars or a telescope. These will allow you to see more details on the lunar surface, like craters and mountains, as the Earth's shadow moves across the moon. If you're hoping to capture the eclipse on camera, this is a great time to try your hand at astrophotography. Lunar eclipses make for stunning photos, especially if you can frame the shot with interesting foreground elements like trees or buildings. If you're new to photographing the night sky, don't worry. There are plenty of tutorials and resources available to help you get started. Just make sure to practice ahead of time so you're ready when the eclipse begins. And one more tip, make yourself comfortable. Lunar eclipses unfold slowly, so consider bringing a chair, a blanket, and maybe even some hot drinks if you're in a cooler climate. The entire event will take several hours, and you'll want to be able to enjoy every moment without feeling uncomfortable or cold. The cultural and historical significance of lunar eclipses. Lunar eclipses have fascinated people for thousands of years. In ancient times, these events were often seen as omens or signs from the gods. Civilizations around the world developed myths and legends to explain why the moon would sometimes disappear from the sky. In some cultures, lunar eclipses were thought to be battles between good and evil forces. In ancient Mesopotamia, for example, people believed that a lunar eclipse was an attack on the moon by evil spirits. To protect their king, they would often appoint a substitute king during the eclipse, hoping to fool the spirits into attacking the wrong person. In other parts of the world, people believed that lunar eclipses were caused by celestial animals or gods. In China, it was thought that a giant dragon was attempting to swallow the moon. To prevent this, people would bang pots and pans to scare the dragon away. Even today, some cultures continue to attach spiritual or mystical significance to lunar eclipses. In astrology, for instance, eclipses are seen as times of transformation, a period when powerful energies can bring about change in our lives. Whether you believe in these interpretations or not, there's no denying that lunar eclipses hold a special place in human history. What's next after September 18th? While the partial lunar eclipse of September 18th, 2024 is the next big celestial event to look forward to, it's not the only one. In fact, the sky has plenty more in store for us over the next few years. The next total lunar eclipse will take place on March 13th and 14th, 2025. This one will be visible from the Pacific, the Americas, Western Europe, and Western Africa. It will be a total eclipse, meaning that the moon will be completely covered by the Earth's shadow, turning it a deep red color. Later that same year, on September 7th, 2025, another total lunar eclipse will occur, and it will be visible in Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. If you're starting to fall in love with lunar eclipses, then 2025 is going to be an exciting year. But even beyond that, there are more lunar eclipses to look forward to in 2026, with total eclipses occurring on March 3rd and August 28th of that year. Why should you watch the eclipse? So, why should you take the time to watch the partial lunar eclipse on September 18th, 2024? For one, it's a chance to witness a cosmic event that connects us to the larger universe. We often get so caught up in our daily lives that we forget we're part of something much bigger. Watching an eclipse is a humbling experience, a reminder that we live on a small planet orbiting a star in a vast, ever-expanding universe. It's also an opportunity to spend time outdoors, away from screens and distractions, and simply enjoy the beauty of the natural world. And finally, it's a chance to learn something new. Every time you look up at the night sky, you're witnessing the laws of physics in action. So, on the night of September 18th, 2024, set aside some time to step outside and look up. You don't need to be an astronomer to appreciate the beauty of a lunar eclipse. All you need is curiosity and a sense of wonder. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about upcoming celestial events, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear where you'll be watching the eclipse from, and if you've captured any amazing photos, feel free to share them with us. Until next time, keep looking up and stay curious.